Hey everyone, this is a video covering chapter 2 of our promo text. We're going to cover a little bit just talking about the promotions industry as a whole. So the goal of this video, talk about some of the trends that have happened over the years, talk a little about size, structure, who actually we're talking about, who are the participants in this industry. We'll talk about the compensation, things like commissions and how that really drives profit with inside the industry. We'll talk how it integrates into integrated marketing communications, and finish it up with a discussion on media, how media organizations play a role in defining advertising and defining advertising and marketing kind of combined as a whole. So starting it off, consolidation. When we say this, there's been some ups and downs on this. That there's been a lot of agencies and they've combined together, and then they've split apart and they've combined together over the years. We look, kind of the organization of things now at the top level. New York agencies, LA agencies, groups like out there like McCann, BBDO are not just national but international agencies that work with the companies like Coke or Honda and Ford, or name your very, very large companies. And there's definitely those large players that will play with them. But then again, I personally worked for Weyerhaeuser. We're talking $1 billion company. And we didn't work with those large firms just because some of the costs that associated with them. And we'll talk about, we had an in-house firm and we did some outsourcing, and we'll talk about that as we go through here as well. But one of the nice things about those large firms is they do have a lot of buying power. So things like TV ads, magazine ads, that they place large orders, that they may be able to get some better rates for you than you could be on your own, and they can actually do a lot of the footwork. So say I don't have the people to go out and make the connections to run the ads in the place I need to, or to do the research I may need to do. They have those resources that they might be able to leverage. We do have a lot of consolidation in the media world as well. Right now, you talk even like, I think Disney owns ABC and ESPN. There's really only a few players in the world of media, at least on the digital side, and even on the, or at least on the TV side, but even on the digital side too. There's a lot that's going on. Facebook and Instagram are basically the same company. But those are tend to the places that people go to when they're looking. You as consumers, it's where you live at. I subscribe to Disney Plus. I have a Facebook account. So, my information is also being shared with inside that network, which is one of the reasons that they do it. They get a lot of economies of scales for working through those relationships. So one of the other nice things is about having kind of that consolidated. Here's an example. IAC, what they do is, say I want to run an ad, that I can actually contact them and place my ad in a lot of different places. So instead of having to contact each one of these individual sites, I can go to them as a parent company, create a message, and that message is going to be distributed in all the sites that they manage and all the places that they go. So especially in the online world, this sort of online advertising, Google actually drives a lot of this as well. But it's a key factor that what drives the financial side of advertising and marketing. Marketers, those are us. Those are the people that want to grow a business, that want to get more sales, that want to get more profit. Marketers can be a lot of different things, which we'll talk about through today. In-house, they can be external agencies, they can be for nonprofit, they can be governmental, but their goal is basically all the same. They want to increase some sort of demand for their product to create more sales, or to get more revenue, or to whatever their goal might be. But people realize that, hey, I'm maybe good at starting this business, but I'm not good at selling it. So ad agencies popped up. Advertising promotion agencies, groups of outside people that was their specialty. That if I don't know how to do it, if I don't know how to still do internet marketing, well, I can reach out to someone that may have that expertise. There's some sort of external facilitator that's going to help me solve the problems that I need to help grow my organization, my business, and ultimately get my message to my target audience, to the people that are going to buy my product, that are going to use my product, because that's who I want to get my message to. I don't want to just throw it out into the air and hope that someone finds it. I want to target who I'm going to be. I should know who my customer is, how old they are, where they live, what gender they are, what interest they are. The more I can target down to them, the better I'm going to be. Here's how the book kind of visual represents that. Marketers trying to get to the target audience, but in the middle there, ad and promo industries, media organizations, external facilitators, they'll take that information from comes from the client through the marketers, ultimately getting to the target audience. So if you look at this though, there's a little bit of clutter right there. That it can get a little confusing. Ultimately, when you have this many people in the middle of something, it also means more expensive. That's one of the nice things about the digital world has provided. Things like advertising through Facebook actually lets individuals and marketers jump over this all the way straight to the target audience. And we'll talk about that more kind of today and throughout the quarter as well, how that digital landscape has been a leveling factor for a lot of small companies to try and target who they want to get to. As far as what kind of agencies that are out there, most agencies like to categorize and call themselves full service agencies. That may or may not be true, but when they're saying full service, they say, okay, we can do everything you need. We can do the research, we can do the creative side of it, we can do the design side of it, we can do the implementation side of it. That come to us, we'll do everything you need. That's not necessarily true. All agencies, or most agencies, have some sort of specialization as well. And trying to understand what that specialization is and what markets they serve is actually what differentiates a lot of your agencies. Creative boutiques, though, are kind of an interesting little subset of that. That a lot of times people just want a little extra help. Or in particular, a lot of times, like what I have worked with, but I haven't worked with large agencies, I've worked with a lot of creative boutiques because, say, I need a new idea. And a lot of times companies just get caught up in what they do. You can go to someone else that's there just for creativity, give you a little extra, show you what left field looks like sometimes, maybe give you better advice on copywriting, whatever that may be, to help your business kind of feel fresh, feel new, and hopefully sells a little more product. Interactive agencies, though, it's definitely a developed term over what's described in your book. We call these more digital agencies now that live online. Things like SEO, search engine optimization, it would fall in this, that are going to help your company show up high on Google searches. Like that would be a good example of a company that might do that. Internet, social media marketing, very specific technology-based agencies. A lot of times these are subsets and parts of full service agencies and creative boutiques, but they don't have to be. There's companies out there that just do that. There's also a lot of companies that have in-house. So I mentioned I worked at Weyerhaeuser. For the most part, we had in-house services that, me and a few other people, we managed marketing. We had an in-house graphic designer. We had an in-house digital marketing manager that we managed most of the things that we did. But we needed, some extra advice sometimes too. So having those resources, the facilitators outside that you can reach out to is definitely helpful, as well as media specialists. And that's actually a huge one. People that have, pretty much make their whole time building relationships with magazines or online review agencies that can get the kind of contact that you can't, that can make a call and get an interview or get a product placement that you just can't do because you don't have those relationships. So those media specialists are very important sometimes for getting some nice free advertising out of a product. Here's just where they talk about interactive agencies, that there's definitely specialized people out there. Blue Streak was one of them that wanted to help with online campaigns, that wanted to to grow on the online side of business. There's a lot of them, both local, both national. So I don't want to, I'm not recommending one over the other. But if you're ever in a business, or if you ever looking for a job, it's definitely a way that if you have that talent for creative ideas, for implementing ideas, there's a lot of resources out there. With inside agencies, agencies are split up differently, but you almost always have kind of your leadership group, and then you'll actually have like these little silos that manage on things. And we have a slide here in a little bit that's kind of go over this a little bit better. But you'll have people that are creative, that'll come up with ideas, and then you'll have people that are like copywriters, and they'll take those ideas and the guts of the ideas, and they'll write the words or the slogans that go along with it. You'll have art directors that will do photography or video, and you'll have people that'll mash them all together So there's definitely different sides of that. And a good agency, a full service agency, is going to put them all together. Direct marketing is, especially like this side of databases and understanding who your customer is, in my opinion, kind of one of the most important parts of marketing. And this is actually where Facebook has leveled the playing ground. So it used to be that only the very large companies hired direct marketing agencies because they were the ones that could do the research. That they had employees that went out and did research and gathered research to try and find out who those target markets are. Things like how old people were, where did they live, what interests did they have. Well, the truth is, in our modern world today, like, we all have Facebook accounts, right? And on our Facebook account, we put in the town we live in, we put in what interests we have. So a lot of these database agencies are actually pulling from very public information. So when you want to do an ad now, and I want to do a Facebook ad, I don't have to hire one of these. I can just use the information that Facebook provides me to run my advertising, my e-commerce, right? So that, I want to sell online. That's where most stuff is happening now. That there's people out there that are going to help me with that. They're going to help me with sales promos. There's people out there for event planning. There's people that are going to help me with design. So specific, layouts of packaging or product or stores. There's public relations firms out there. Public relations firms trying to get you media buys, trying to get you kind of goodwill, trying to get people to talk good things about you. So there's lots of different sources for help for advertising and for marketing, out in the world we live in today. Here's a little bit of structure. This is what I was talking about a couple slides ago. So there's definitely silos inside of businesses. So account services, these are the people that are talking with the customers. Marketing services, so these are the people maybe doing some of the legwork. Creative services, coming up with some designs. Production, making them. Media, pushing them out. Then you have your administrative, because even firms like this have accounting. They still have employees. They have leadership and CEOs. So they operate within silos. But a good ad agency is going to have good communication across this. So that's what makes the ones that succeed are the ones where they work together and it's not so siloed. You want a little bit of silos because it gives specialization, but you don't want to make sure they at least communicate with each other as well. Otherwise, as the client, you get lost in between these little silos of the business organization. So as far as services, we kind of just talked a little bit about this account services. These are the people that, you have some sort of account manager if you're a client who you're talking with at the company. They're the people that are trying to get your idea and get you to consolidate it down. Think of what you want, get you to ask the right questions and get out of you what you want, for your campaign, so they can start running it through. Once they do the research on it, that, how will we attract what you want to the customers that want to buy? How do we max those things two together? Get it through creative services who come up with hopefully some sort of home run idea. And then we start flowing down through making the ad and getting that ad out into the public. But agencies, how do they make money? So the traditional way is commissions. So this idea that there's some sort of purchase out there, in the case of this pie graph, that it's $1 million purchase, of which 850 goes to the network. So in this case, maybe it's a Super Bowl ad, right? So the NBC or whoever the Super Bowl is on gets the 850,000 out of it. The agency keeps 150,000 of it, right? That's where they're making the money. That's how they're making the profit. But that's not the only way to do it. And especially like in the world we live in today, this idea of these big purchases aren't necessarily happen, right? There's not, I've never placed a Super Bowl ad. I think most marketers in this world have never done so. So the idea of $1 million purchase for a commission isn't realistic. So instead you have things like markup charges. So markups, say we go through creative, who are usually some sort of fee system actually. So through the creative process, you're paying people by the hour to come up with something. But then when they place that whatever buy is for you, that they'll have some sort of markup on that. So they're going to get an additional 20% based off of what that purchase may be. Very rare do you actually see pay for results. Ideal world, this is what you would want as a company, because that's what you want, is you want growth, and if they're willing to give results and you're willing to pay for it. But it's also a lot of risk for the marketing agencies as well. So you don't see it a ton, but especially new companies or small companies that want business, this might be a way that they can kind of leverage that idea. Ethics and trust does play a big role in this as well. A lot of times people have very long relationships, and when you have long relationships, things get comfortable, and when things get comfortable, bad things can happen, both on both sides. That you can end up the agencies overcharging, and it happens, and you have to have someone that's willing to go through the receipts and try and match things up. So the whole administrative part of that little diagrams that we looked at, super important for that reason. So just kind of wrapping this up in the last couple of slides here, talking about external factors or external facilitators out there. Research firms have, there's still a huge need for them. I've kind of talked a little bit about how we self-identify, especially through digital media now, but there's still a lot of data there. So the bigger your campaign, the more and more you might rely on some sort of research firm, and they can take data and crunch it for you. Or they can at least help you identify it. Like most of the time, I don't know if you guys know this, but we all have these little shopping cards. So when we go to Fred Meyer or Safeway, right, we have a little card that lets us get coupons. Well, the reason they have those cards isn't for what we think it is. It's not because it qualifies us for a sale. No, it's actually because they use those cards and they collect all of our stuff, and they know data about us. I can actually tell you that. So Fred Meyer, we shop a lot at Fred Meyer, and we get little coupons in the mail. Well, Fred Meyer knew exactly when my daughter was born, because our shopping changed, because all of a sudden we were buying diapers and formula. So the coupons we got was no longer, I don't know, whatever it is, beer and hot dogs. It's diaper and formula, right? So they can create better ads or better promotions to you based off of the market research that you provide. Consultants, so if you don't want a full agency, you can bring in individuals. A lot of times just help you set up your division better. But there's also people that can, production facilitators that can help deliver, specific areas, maybe on the creative side, maybe on the production side, that get you a little bit better in what you're doing. And not to be forgotten in all this is the software firms, because that's, once again, it's the world we live in, the digital age of world. That software is a big thing. That how do you create apps? How do you create websites? How do you create shopping carts on the backside? So those software resources, super important to every ad agency, to every company out there. So the graph that they use in the book, I think this is a little bit, our book is a little dated. It's from a few years ago. And if I were to actually put this graph out today, that green interactive media square wedge right there, to me, that probably takes up half, if not more, of the entire pie chart that we're looking out there. It's just become so big that we look at as our phones. That print one has shrunk drastically. Broadcast has probably been about the same. Media conglomerates probably shrunk. Other support media's probably shrunk. So that interactive, that digital side has definitely taken up more. It's probably half of the total market, if not more at this point. So kind of wrapping this up here, I think last slide. So broadcast media, when I keep saying this, we're talking about things like TV and radio, mass media that go out there, print, magazines, newspapers. Newspapers are dying, but and a lot of magazines and actually newspapers for that are going to the digital side. That we're not paying for a print ad anymore. We're paying for some sort of digital ad placed inside that interactive media that we're looking at, the website, the phone, the whatever it might be. So there's also the other stuff. My favorite is things like the sides of buses ads. At Weyerhaeuser, we actually did wraps on the side of log trucks. So there's people that out there to kind of help with that. And as always, we still have those conglomerates, people that are out there that do a little bit of everything, that can help you on broadcast, they can help you print, interactive support, pretty much all together, those kind of all-in-one media resources. So hopefully this information is helpful, and look for the next chapter, chapter 3, to get a little more information on kind of the development of ad agencies over time. Thank you.